Jackson Mean is a talented musician and singer who is struggling with drugs and loss of hearing. After a performance, Jack gets into his car and tells the driver to look for a good club in the city. On the east side of the city, they stop at Blue Blue Bar. Jackson gets out of his car and enters the bar. A few minutes later, he discovers that the place is a drag bar. Right at this moment, a female singer named Ali comes on stage to perform a song. Ali is a single girl who works day shift in a restaurant and comes to Blue Blue Bar at night to sing. Ali's voice is incredible. She can catch every viewer's attention. Jack seems to be hypnotized by her performance. Jack, being affected by Ali's talent and beauty, goes backstage due to Ali's friends' insistence. In the backstage, he gets recognized and signs someone's boobs. Then Jackson and Ali start talking to each other. Jack says he's a singer too and had a show that night. Ali tells him they don't allow women to perform in this bar, but since she is an old friend and they love her voice, she is more than welcome to sing here. Then Jack invites her to a drink, and while she is wiping off her makeup, he performs a song with a guitar. Baby, it's time. And you see Ali sneak peeking on him. Afterward, he takes her to a bar and says it's a cop bar. They serve drink till morning. Jack asks if she has ever written a song. Ali says she normally doesn't sing her song because it makes her uncomfortable. She continues saying that people in the music industry told her she has a big nose, and therefore she does not have a chance of being successful. Suddenly, a guy stands up and walks to Jack, then starts saying nonsense and bothers them. Ali gets mad and throws a heavy punch to the guy's face. Jack takes her out of the club to a supermarket so he can find something cool to put on Ali's hand to stop the swelling. Then they sit on the sidewalk so he can tape the frozen bean pack to her wrist. As they are sitting there, Jack says he's from Arizona and continues telling a short story about his childhood and the things that happened to him. In return, Ali sings him a song that she has written. Jack, being fascinated by her talent, decides to tell her a secret. He says she might be a songwriter. In the morning, Jack takes Ali to her house and invites her to his concert before she gets off the car. As Ali is walking towards her house, Jack pulls down the window and calls her, so he can look at her one more time before she goes. In the house, Ali sees her father and his friends. The father takes Ali to his friends and starts complimenting her voice. In the meanwhile, Jack's hearing problem is starting to get worse. While practicing for the night show, his brother Bobby comes with a device in his hand and says you have to put this in your ear. It's doctor reception. Jack refuses to do that because it makes him uncomfortable. Jack's driver goes to pick up Ali for the concert. Ali says he can't make it, says goodbye, and closes the door. Ali's father, excited about this, tells her daughter this is a big opportunity she was waiting for, and she should not waste it. Regardless of this conversation, Ali goes to work. At work, she starts a beef with her boss, so she and her friends quit. They get in the driver's car and he takes them to an airport. And that's when they realize they are going to fly with a private jet. Since they haven't been on a private jet before, the experiment brings them a lot of joy and excitement. When they arrive at the show, a woman named Gil greets them and gives them entrance cards and earplugs. She says the voices are really loud up there. Then she takes them to the side stage. Jack does a phenomenal performance. After the song, Jack comes to Ali and tells her to perform the song she had written. Ali, terrified of this offer, is not willing to do that. Jack tries to comfort her and tells her to just trust him. Jack starts playing without her, but moments later, Ali, shaking from stress and fear, comes into the stage. They perform her song together in the most beautiful way possible. This show was the beginning of her fame. After the show, they go to Jack's place and start making out, but in the time she goes to the bathroom, he falls asleep on the couch. Ali asks her friend for help in waking Jack up, but he says he can't help. When Ali wants to go check on Jack, she sees that his brother is taking him to bed. Before Bobby leaves, he tells Ali that Jack never took any girl on stage and it's been a long time since he played like that. Ali then decides to sleep beside him. The next morning, when Jack wakes up, they finish their unfinished job. After Ali returns to her house, she finds out that last night's performance is trending on the internet. A few hours later, Ali is surprised to see Jack in his room. He says that her father let him in. He then encourages her to come and sing with him on a stage, and the next stage is in Arizona. She gets ready and they both start riding a bike to Arizona. Ali has her songbook with her so she can write any song idea that comes to her mind. In the meantime, Jack wants to check on his dad's ranch, but when he gets there, he sees that it has been sold by his brother and turned into a wind farm. He gets angry and punches his brother. They get into an argument. At last, Bobby quits and leaves. Next you see Jack and Ali on the stage performing a song together. As time passes, their connection deepens and their love intensifies. They perform together in every city they go to. With Jack's insistence, she plays one of her songs named Always Remember Us This Way. After this concert, a producer-manager named Rez Gavron starts talking to Ali and wants to cooperate with her. He says that Ali has an incredible talent and she deserves better, and also he can put her wherever she wants to be in this market. Ali, not knowing what to say, wants to consult this with Jack. Next, you see Ali describing what happened to Jack. Jack fainted to the ground as a result of being so drunk. After he gets his consciousness back again, he grabs a cake and starts rubbing it on Ali's face. She says that Jack is jealous of her, but Jack is just happy for her. In the next scene, you see them in a recording studio, working on Ali's music. She is taking dance classes too. One day, Jack tells her to come to Memphis with him, but she says that the manager wants her to work on her album. So Jack goes alone and Ali stays to perform her show. At the show, she cuts down dancers and Rez becomes angry at her. He also says Ali has to dye her hair blonde, but she doesn't want to do that. She's just worried about Jack because he isn't answering her calls. The next morning, a friend finds Jack blacked out on the grasses beside the road. He wakes him up and brings him inside his house. They talk for a bit and then Jack goes to a room to rest. As Jack is sleeping, Ali shows up, says she is angry and he made her upset. She says next time she won't fly back to clean up his mess. They hug and talk about Ali's show. Moments later, they are sitting at a table having lunch. Jack asks for a plier. He says he wants to cut guitar strings with it. He makes a ring with a string and puts it on her hand. Ali is shocked by this, but then they both decide to engage that day. They tell their vows and have a party later that night. A few days later, Ali is invited to perform in a night show. The same day, Jack sees his brother again and asks him to come back to them. Bobby responds that things are easier without him, but says he's always here if Jack ever needs anything. Several days later, while Ali is photoshooting, her manager Rez comes to her and says she has been nominated for 3 Grammy Awards. Everyone feels so happy for her and applauds her. When Ali comes home, Jack is drunk again. She doesn't tell anything to him about the Grammy and goes to the bathroom to take a shower. They start an argument with each other. She mocks his drinking addict and his dad, so Jack becomes angry and calls her ugly. Eventually, Ali forces him to leave. Some day later, Jack appears in Ali's dancing class and apologizes to her. She says that Jack broke her heart, therefore he is sorry. Jack is invited to play in the Grammy, but as a guitar player. He gets mad but accepts the offer anyway. At the Grammys, you see Jack being extremely drunk, goes and sits by Ali. At that moment, they want to announce the Grammy Award winner, and to their surprise, it's Ali. Jack is so high that he doesn't understand what is happening. He throws himself on the stairs and sits there. As Ali is giving her a speech and thanking her manager and her husband, Jack stands up and walks to the stage, not knowing where he is. Moments later, he pisses on himself and falls to the ground, making Ali embarrassed. After that night, Jack tries recovery sessions. After about 2 months in the treatment center, Ali comes to visit Jack. She found a love song that Jack wrote but never showed it to her. Jack says he wrote that song with all his heart for her. Then he starts crying and apologizes for his behavior at Grammy. Ali comforts him and says it's okay. At the time when Jack is under treatment, Ali and Rez are planning a world tour. Ali wants Jack to come with them, so she asks Rez to bring Jack with them on the world tour and says they can do duets together. But Rez strongly disagrees and tells Ali to just forget about him. Ali insists and says to either bring Jack or just cancel the tour. Finally, Jack's treatment finishes and is brought back home by his brother to be welcomed by Ali and their dog. Ali asks him to sing the love song he had written so she can find the rhythm. Days later, Rez comes to Jack and says after he went to recovery session, it was really hard for them to pick up the mess he left behind. And to be honest, Jack is going to start drinking again sooner or later, and Rez doesn't want him to be around Ali that day. Rez's speech hits Jack hard, leaving him with a feeling of guilt and shame. Next, you see Ali talking to Jack. She wants to cancel the Europe tour and stays with Jack from now on. Her album was successful and Rez wants her to record another album. So, tonight is going to be her last concert. Ali asks him to accompany her to the last show. Jack says why not and accepts. At the time when Ali wants to leave, Jack calls her. When she turns around, he says he just wants to take another look at her. Next, you see Ali at the concert, but Jack isn't there. At home, Jack seems to be high again and is preparing for a tragic decision. He feeds his dog and brings his car out of the garage. With a belt in his hand, he goes to the garage and closes the door and hung himself. The depression days of Ali arrive and she doesn't know what to do without Jack. Her condition seems to never be like before again. She talks to Bobby about Jack and Bobby tries to comfort her and says it's no one's fault but Jack and she shouldn't blame herself. At the end, Ali performs the love song that Jack wrote called I'll Never Love Again. She pours her soul into the emotional performance as a memorial of Jack. I hope you enjoyed this movie recap. Make sure to like and leave a comment for us and don't forget to subscribe.